Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, maybe wherever we are in the world, depending on your time zone. My name is Ivan Temelkov, founder and CEO of Razor Sharp Digital, the number one human marketing agency in the world, where we work with brands and entrepreneurs and helping them forge their digital footprint using multi-channel marketing, emotional engagement, and human-to-human business practices. You're wondering why I am doing this live? Well, the title actually says it. You don't need anyone to tell you because you already know this, but just in case, you needed to hear it again. And what is that you're probably wondering right about now, right? Let me share something with you. Are you good enough? Are you worth it? Are you intelligent enough? Do you have what it takes? Yes, to all of the above. And why am I telling you this? Why do I want to talk about this? Why is this important? We live in a very dark world. There's a lot of chaos going on right now. A lot of people that are in self-doubt. A lot of people are living in fear. A lot of people are just hesitant to be pursuing anything new. Now, when I first started my business 4 years ago, I struggled with all of these things. I struggle with, am I good enough? Am I intelligent enough? Am I worth it? Do I have what it takes? Do I have enough money? You see, one of the biggest problems that we have in society, whether it's in your life or in your business, is that too many people look for validation from others. Too many people want the stamp of approval from others to where someone else says, John, Mary, you can do this. Okay? And you have my approval to do this. You don't need anybody's approval to do anything. You're smart enough. You're intelligent enough. You know what you're doing. You can start that business if you want to. You don't need someone to come in and give you a stamp of approval. I think that's what a lot of people are doing. And I know that when I first started my business, that was one of the things that I personally struggled with. This is one of the reasons why I'm sharing this with you guys, is because I had too many people in the marketing space, mind you, 20 plus years in the marketing space, that would say, no, Ivan, you're not intelligent enough. Ivan, you should go and get a full-time job. I even had old bosses of mine offer me pesky salaries to go work for them. And that's what people are going to do. People are in disbelief of you until you bring whatever it is that you're working on, whatever idea you have, to fruition. And that's when people suddenly become your best friends. You see, in the infancy stage of building your business and starting out specifically as an entrepreneur, too many people are going to doubt you. Too many people, there's going to be a lot of naysayers, a lot of people that are going to tell you that you just need to quit while you're ahead. And honestly, those are the very same people that might be asking you for a job later on down the road. And so I really want you guys to think about this. Okay, now is the best time in history to start a business, to start something new. Forget about the news, forget about the politics, because I think a lot of people are worried about that right now. Too many of you are so focused on what the news is saying, what's happening in politics, how the economy is shifting. I'm even seeing people that run multi-million-dollar businesses on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, say how they're so worried about the news and so worried about politics. Honestly, don't worry about any of that. Keep your head down, focus on what you're doing, and keep doing more of that. If you're as good as you say you are, and I think you are, then it's only a matter of time. You need commitment, you need action to bring things to fruition. I'll give you a prime example. 4 years ago, when I started Razor Sharp Digital, everyone was in disbelief that I would build a human marketing agency. Nobody thought that such thing exists, okay? And I didn't let any of those people's opinions sway me, because I wasn't concerned with it. I was concerned with what it is that I love doing, which is digital marketing, building websites, social media marketing, meeting great people, great brands, and helping them accelerate in the business marketplace. And at the end of the day, I was led to believe that I was the best at executing on those things, and I am. And that's all it takes. You need to believe in yourself. That's the only person you need to believe in to execute on things. You don't need the approval from anybody else. You don't need for someone to tell you that it's okay to start or wait for their approval. You know, wait for your significant other, for your friends to say, John or Mary, it's cool. You can start that business. You've got my approval. And that's exactly what most people are doing. Most people want some validation from others so they can feel more comfortable. First of all, if you're feeling too comfortable in your life and in your business, you're slowly dying because there's no growth with too much comfort. Growth only happens when you have discomfort. Growth only happens when you're risking, when you're sacrificing, because the results are different. In a comfort zone, the results are usually the same. And that's exactly what most people in America have been doing. And if you think that that is bullshit, then let me just remind you of what has just happened over the last couple of months. 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Less than 20% of Americans have anything saved up, let alone for retirement. And that is because 80% of Americans want to live in a comfort zone. They want to get their paycheck every 2 weeks, pay their bills, put food on the table, put gas in the tank, pay their mortgage, and that's it. That's all they want. They're satisfied after that happens. Well, that comfort that 80% of Americans have been so used to actually showed millions and millions of people one of the highest, if not the highest, unemployment rate that we have seen in a very long time, maybe even since the Great Depression. And that if that isn't proof enough for you that you need to stop living comfortably, then I don't know what is. Because it'll catch up with you. If you think you're comfortable where you're at, if you think you're making money, you're paying your bills, I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time. And this is why I'm doing this live, because I want to emphasize on the fact that you don't need anyone to tell you that you're good enough. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're worth it. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're intelligent enough. You don't need anyone to tell you that you have what it takes, because you already do. You just have to start. Just effing start doing. That's it. That's all you got to do. I think too many people out there right now are concerned with, was this the right approach? Should I be doing it this way? Just effing start, people. Just start. And, the beauty about someone like me is that I've been in the digital space for 25 years. I'm 40 years old now. I started when I was 14 years old. So it's actually 26 years at this point, to be more exact. I have tried and failed on so many levels and so many things that I've gotten to the point to where I know what works and what doesn't. This is why I charge the prices that I charge for the services that I offer. Now, if you're just starting out, you're going to need a crash course. I see people left and right in social media that say, I just started my business and, I'm not fluent enough. That's okay. You don't have to be fluent enough. You don't have to get it perfect. In fact, perfection is something that you should never achieve. Perfection is something that you will never achieve as well. And if you ever think that you've reached a state of perfection in everything that you do in your life and in your business, then you've got more flaws than the person next to you. I guarantee you that. And that's exactly what most entrepreneurs actually look for, is that they want perfection. They think that starting a business, I was actually reading something, I think it was from Tom Bilyeu on Instagram earlier today, and which, by the way, the ticker below, wherever you're tuning in, we are live on my Facebook profile, the Human Marketing Alliance Facebook group, on my Facebook business page, YouTube channel, and Periscope and Twitter as well. So wherever you're tuning in, make sure you chime in, drop a comment below in the section. But you can follow me also. There's my Instagram handle. I'm most active on the IG. But I was reading something, from Tom Bilyeu earlier this morning, and it was talking about, I think it was like an oldogram on Instagram, but it was talking about how, too many people are so concerned with everything else that's happening in the world that they forget to start. And if they end up starting, then they're too concerned with getting everything perfect. Also, another thing, about entrepreneurship here in business that I want to share with you guys is just that you can learn how to risk and sacrifice if you want to be an entrepreneur and if you want to build a business. But at the end of the day, the truest, the most realist entrepreneurs are the people who have it in their DNA. And this is something that personally I have been doing basically for the vast majority of my life. I've risked, I've sacrificed. If you haven't watched my TV interview that I did with Park City TV, it's on my website below, ivantemilkov.com. It's right there on the homepage, or on my YouTube channel as well, if you're tuning on there. But, what was really mesmerizing is just that I shared how I've risked everything, literally everything, to the point to where I was bankrupt, and I thought that I had hit the lowest point of my life. And that is when things actually started happening, because adversity pushes you into action. That's a Tony Robbins quote. Another thing that Tony Robbins talks about is just that 90% of business is psychology and 10% is execution. This is why I cycle. This is why, someone asked me in a Facebook group earlier this morning and said, Ivan, why do you cycle? What do you find so captivating about cycling, road cycling, which, by the way, I've been doing for 6 years? And I said, focus, clarity. I definitely don't do it for the endurance. I don't really, it's good fitness exercise, absolutely. But I first and foremost do that for the focus and clarity. And the reason I'm sharing this with you guys is just that, mindset, psychology are key important elements to really making things happen in your life and in your business. And I think too many of you are just worried about the minutia of what's happening in the world. I'll give you a prime example. I was having a conversation with someone who's verified. He has the blue check mark on Twitter. I think he is like Forbes top 15 or something along those lines. And he had a tweet that said that people who refer to themselves as authentic are probably some of the most unauthentic, unoriginal people. And, I responded back and I said, well, I consider myself authentic because I'm different than everybody else. I don't use the term authentic, all the time, but I consider myself authentic because I am unconventional. I am real. I am raw. I'll tell you how it is. I hate bullshit. I hate fluff. And that's how I do business. And that's how we are so selective about the types of relationships and the types of clients that we work with Razor Sharp Digital, which, by the way, the Razor Sharp Digital website that you're seeing, razorsharpdigital.com below, is actually being remodeled. We're hoping to relaunch here in the next couple of months. But anyway, to go back to the tweet. So earlier today, I watched a video from Brad Lea that was talking about, authenticity. He was referring to himself being authentic. Brad Lea is one of the most successful people in business. If you're a business person, if you're an entrepreneur and you don't know who Brad Lea is, then, go and look him up, And so I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, one person on Twitter is saying that, the people that refer to themselves as authentic are some of the most unoriginal people. And here's Brad Lea talking about how he's so authentic and he's so different. Why am I sharing this with you is because perspective differentiates from people to people. So you don't need to worry about what other people's perspective is of you. All you need to worry about is what your perspective of you is, because in the reality of things, and this is a little bit of a side note, I was actually listening to a podcast by Andy Frisella, and one of the things he was talking about is reality. He said how there is my reality, there is another person's reality, and then there's the reality in itself in society. And that's absolutely true. The reason I'm sharing this with you is just that how you view yourself is different than how others see you and then how society sees you. Prime example is, let's look at Elon Musk, for example, founder of Tesla. And in fact, I was reading an article actually earlier today that said that in the next 5 years, Tesla is going to make more money than Uber times 2. And so, but the reason I'm sharing this with you is to help you understand that The way Elon Musk sees himself as an individual and what he's doing in his life and in business completely different traits in the way that, significant others or friends or colleagues see him, and then how the world on a global scale sees him. The reason I'm sharing this with you is just that the only person you need to worry about is yourself. The only person that you need validation from to start that business, to start that exercise is you. You don't need anybody else. And that is one of the biggest problems that I think is holding people back. That is one of the biggest problems that's holding entrepreneurs from starting businesses. And honestly, now more than ever, we need more entrepreneurs to be starting businesses, simply because too many people are living comfortably. Now, another thing that I was reading is that, with what's been happening over the last 2 to 3 months, with the stimulus and also the CARE Act and people getting all this disposable cash, they're going to start spending. But guess what? There's a lot of businesses that either closed or, are not open yet, depending on what state you're in. Like I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, in the Midwest, and a lot of things have opened up, but, a lot of things on the East Coast or on the West Coast are not open up yet. So now is a prime time to get things going with your business, to get yourself out there, to create more exposure, to create more interest, to create more awareness. The reason I'm telling you is because the last 2 months, amidst all of this COVID-19 and Black Lives Matter, movement that's been happening, and all the civil rights, and America basically being in a civil war, or really also at an economic war, I guess I would say, have been 2 of the best months for me in business during this year thus far. In fact, I just hired a full-time person as a result of it. Now, you're going to say, I get it. Most of you will say, well, Ivan, I got problems with this and that. And look, if you need perspective, if you need more psychology, I'm happy to chat with you. There's no obligation to this. And that's what people don't understand is that they don't have the right mindset, the right psychology. And that's why they're allowing everything else in the world and everyone else halt you, stop you in your tracks before you've even started. And that's what you guys need to understand is just that you have to be resilient. You have to risk. You have to sacrifice. You have to keep going. It's just essential to bring your business, your dreams, your goals to a reality. And honestly, people laugh at me all the time. Every single day, there's at least one person, sometimes even more, who laugh at me. I just had someone yesterday. It was actually kind of ludicrous, and I actually want to talk about it because this is completely effed up on Facebook. So I have maybe like 43 pending friend requests right now on my Facebook profile, at least based on yesterday. Well, I've been kind of going through them slowly and vetting people, which is something, by the way, that you need to do on your Facebook profile is vet people. And, I accepted a friend request from someone, and then, I messaged them. It was like 2 days ago, and he didn't respond. And then I noticed, I looked through his Facebook profile, and I saw through the activity, on the sidebar that he had been interacting with a bunch of people. So it wasn't that he didn't see my message in Messenger. It's that he failed to respond to it. And then when I actually was very forefront and said, look, man, you're the one that sent me a friend request. I definitely want to get to know you, but if you're gonna fail to engage in communication with me, then we probably shouldn't be friends. And he got offended and started saying how he's so busy and blah, 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 and all this bullshit. That's your problem right there. You're making stupid excuses about stupid stuff. Don't friend request people, period, if you're not gonna communicate with them. It's just that simple. It's logic. It's basic logic. And actually, speaking of this person, I'm going to, keep anonymous. And he was like, well, I see you on so-and-so's group and wall all the time and you're commenting. Yeah, I am, because I take the time to actually communicate with people. And that's what you need to be doing if you want to build relationships online. If you want to build your community, do more outreach, talk to more people. Literally, a good part of my day literally entails in going on Instagram, going on Facebook, going on Twitter, going on LinkedIn, and jumping in the comments section where I feel like, it's beneficial to me, where I see value in the conversations based on my interest of what people are saying. And that is why I'm able to build these relationships organically. In fact, now 4 years later, I haven't done any paid advertising for my business. It's all been word of mouth and referral based, all 100% organic. And I truly believe in that. But, as a marketer and also understanding the current state of the marketplace, I know that I need to advertise. And in fact, I was talking with a client of mine who, I may be collaborating with, to help me out with some stuff, and said, this would be great. Razor Sharp Digital is such a great brand, man. You've got great reviews. You work with some great brands, to advertise on. And I'm a little hesitant because in the reality of things is we live in a day and age where people can depict the difference between an ad and an organic result. Most people are intelligent enough. And so anyway, I just wanted to share that tidbit with you guys because, there's, again, going back to what I just said, if you're so worried about what others think about you and what they think about your business, you're never going to start. You're never going to do. Literally, I have seen more than two handful of people in my social media feed over the last probably 2 or 3 years that I've been friends with that finally realized that, what, I need to get off my ass, stop worrying about what everyone else is saying about me, and just go and do. Just go and execute. Okay. You don't have to have it perfect when you start out, but it's the mindset and psychology behind understanding that the more you worry about what other people's perception is of you, the lesser your chances are to start that business, to strive towards those goals, towards those dreams. And that's what I want you guys to understand. This is really the whole purpose behind this this live that I'm doing here, which by the way, if you haven't watched enough of my lives, this is part of a new series that I'm doing. I'm looking to do 2 lives, probably on my Facebook profile, my Facebook business page, the Human Marketing Alliance group, also my YouTube channel, and then Periscope and Twitter twice per day. Because, there's so much to be said. And I feel like, yesterday I was chatting with a guest that I interviewed for my podcast, The Roz Project, which if you haven't subscribed to that, it's available on all platforms. The Roz Project, RAS Project. And, we're talking about, starting a podcast. And she said, I want to start this podcast, but, I'm afraid that what I say might offend people or that people might not find value in it. And I think it's that mentality that is counterintuitive to what a lot of you are trying to do in the business marketplace, that you're so worried about what everyone else thinks and how they perceive you and whether or not the value that you share is beneficial. I can even begin to tell you how many people, watch these Facebook lives or watch past some of my past lives, videos that I've put out there on social media, and never really engage, but they would message me or they would text message me, or send me an email even and say, Ivan, I watched that live. It was so powerful, man. Thank you so much. And I think it's really at the discretion of everyone's comfort, right? As everyone operates differently. Not everyone's going to comment on your videos. In fact, you don't want, a ton of people to comment on your videos because I feel like comments have become so saturated at this point. And not to mention is just that, people are looking at that as a race, who's going to comment the most. That's not the purpose behind comments. The purpose behind comments is to contribute to the conversation, to become a part of the conversation. And that's what you guys need to be doing more of, is finding opportunities to become a part of the conversation. That is how you're going to build more relationships. That is how you're going to create more awareness around yourself. And these days, if you ask me, most people don't even know that I have a digital marketing business by the name of Razor Sharp Digital, because most people know me as my personal brand. And that, by the way, is something that I want to remind you is that people are not buying your business. They're buying you. They're buying you because they like you, because they trust you, because they see value in what you have to offer. And that is what most people don't understand, is that, are you likable? The type of people that you want to do business with, ultimately, that people that also are going to have the highest retention from a business standpoint are people who like you. You share similar interests with them. This is why I do business with people who have families, who are mothers, fathers, they're entrepreneurs, they've built some businesses. Is because I can relate to those people, and we have something in common to talk about. That's the likability factor. And then, we share similar interests. One of my current clients, in fact, I was working on his website, and I was adding our principles page on there. I was reading through the principles on there, and 100% resonated with me as well. And that's just it, is the likability. That's why. So likability is number one. Trust and value. People have to trust you, so you have to earn that trust. Trust isn't given; it's earned. And I think too many people on the internet nowadays think that people are just going to trust them willingly. You have to earn that trust. It takes time to earn that trust. It takes a lot of cultivation. It takes a lot of communication. It takes a lot of, calls. I know most of you would like to think that you can close business in just 1, 2, maybe 3 steps, but it's not that simple. And that's another thing that, can differentiate you from everyone else, is just that, how do you cultivate your community? One of the things that I have found to work for me the most is that I spend time getting to know people, before I say, oh, I can do X, Y, Z for you. Not to mention is just that the more vetted people are, the more repetitive business that you're going to have. I also have clients who, are intermittent clients as well. I'll do a project for them, and then there won't be any ongoing stuff. And then, they'll message me and say, hey, can you do this video for someone? Or, can you build this website? Or can you run a small Facebook ads campaign? Or, and that's just it, is that when you build that likability, that trust, and you offer so much value, and mind you, all this free content that I'm sharing with you guys has value, but it only has value to the right people. Not everyone will see value in this video. And that's another thing that I want you to think about, and to understand that not everyone is going to understand your value. Not everyone is going to see that as beneficial, nor do you want everyone to see value in what you have to offer, in the information that you share, the things, the services, the product that you have to offer. And I think that's another thing that too many people are worried about, is they think that everyone, just because you have this great idea and you had an epiphany last night, that you're going to skyrocket on the scene today because you had an epiphany and you had the most amazing idea. No, it doesn't work that way. In fact, 99% of entrepreneurs and businesses will fail many, 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 many times. And that's another thing that you have to understand, is that failure does not indicate your inability to do something. That's another thing too many of you are concerned with, is just that just because you failed once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, maybe 5 times, maybe 10 times, you immediately think that you're incapable of doing something. Trust me, I've been there. I'm an Eastern European. For the vast majority of my 20s, I was told that everything that I did was a failure. I was in a relationship for 8 years where I was told almost every single day that I was a failure. Do you think that stopped me? Do you think that stopped me from doing what I'm doing today? Do you think that stopped me from building my business? Do you think that stopped me from pursuing my passion, which is helping people build businesses and create value in the marketplace? Do you think that stopped me? No, it didn't. And that's what you need to understand. That's why I talked about in the beginning that, entrepreneurship can be taught, but the realest, the truest entrepreneurs are the ones who have it at their heart. Okay? It's at your heart. It's at your core. It's your calling. It's your why. It's your purpose. It's what you were meant to do. And I will tell you this, sometimes in life, you don't discover your full capabilities until later on. I know now at 40 years old, I feel like my life just started 4 years ago, in a way. I became a father 4 years ago. I have a 4-year-old son now. I have a 2-year-old daughter also. I feel like my life just started 4 or 5 years ago. But that's just it, is just that too many of you are worried about time. You've got all the time in the world. You've got all the time in the world. But the one thing that you should be concerned with is regret and not starting, not beginning, not doing. Honestly, every single time that this has been a huge challenge of mine. There's always little things, right? And little things add to big things, as we know. I say, you know what, I'm going to do this later. Like today, for instance, I need to go out and cycle because I've got so much stuff going on. It's the best way to flush out my brain and get some clarity and focus around how to approach this massive workload, right? But the back of my brain keeps saying, no, Ivan, you got too much other stuff to do. So let's extrapolate this, right? Is it better for me to go and cycle for an hour and a half today so I can refuel, I can recharge, I can get clarity, I can get focus and come up with a strategy, or just keep grinding and grinding and grinding? You see, it's those choices and those actions that differentiate you from everyone else. It's those little things that many people, really hesitate at. Too many people, are worried about how others are going to perceive them. I'll give you a prime example. And this is just family related. So my son started t-ball yesterday. It's a part of a 4-week program, and we're going out there on the field, and we're like 15-20 minutes early. There's like nobody there, literally. Like we showed up on the field, and I'm like, is this even happening today? Because there was nobody there. There were only 2 coaches there, and that's it. And I know after my wife was looking at the sign-up sheet, and there were like 10 kids there. So makes you kind of wonder, right? You're 15-20 minutes late, nobody has arrived, right? Anyway, we get out there, and my son's shirt, he's teeny tiny, he's 4 years old, and God bless his heart, love the little guy to death. I'd do anything for him. And he gets out there on the field, and he's just a little hesitant. He wasn't like extremely hesitant, but you could tell that he had a little bit of fear. And so all the parents got around, and all the kids arrived, and they started the session, and I'm sitting there, and I could see him kind of struggling a little bit. So now in a traditional situation like that, most parents are like, oh, I don't want to be the parent that's, going to yell across so everybody else can hear me, right? And make a scene out of myself. Screw that. You shouldn't worry about appearances. You shouldn't worry about what everybody else thinks. So you know what I did? I started talking to my son. I encouraged him. I supported him. And I will continue to do that for the rest of my life. But that's how I approached it. And I think some of you need encouragement. You need support. Maybe you need validation from others. I will give you that validation if that's what you're looking for. I'm here to tell you that, first of all, you don't even need my validation. You don't need my support. You don't need my encouragement. I will give it to you because I know you're capable. Because I struggle with all of those things. I didn't have anybody to support and encourage me. I didn't have anybody that would understand what it is that I was doing and why I'm doing it. And it's okay. It's a challenge. That is, in fact, one of the biggest breakthroughs is for your ability to just roll up your sleeves and do. Just roll up your sleeves and do. This is why 1% of entrepreneurs succeed, is because the other 99% are too worried about what everybody else thinks or what the world is going to make out of them. Honestly, do you think that when Steve Jobs started Apple, or Bill Gates started Microsoft, or Sergey and Larry over at Google started in their garage, do you think that they were worried about what the world was going to think? Google has forever changed the face of search, and he has changed so many other things as well. But they have come a long way. Do you think that Jeff Bezos, who's soon to be the world's first trillionaire, was worried about back in 1994, 1995, and holy shit, I was 14, 15 years old, when he was sitting on that CRT monitor? I don't know if any of you even remember CRT monitors that are watching this, that he was worried about what people thought about Amazon. A lot of people thought that Amazon was a joke. A lot of people thought about it then. Now, Everybody likes to sit on their ass and order shit from Amazon. This is why Amazon has seen the biggest growth in the last 2 or 3 months in the history of the company because of coronavirus, because of Black Lives Matter, because too many people are afraid, because too many people want to get on their phone and order shit instead of actually taking initiative. That is exactly why. That is exactly why. So the point I'm trying to make to you is this: that in the early stages of your business, everybody will laugh at you. Everybody will think that, there's no purpose. There's no reason that you should be doing this, that you're risking and sacrificing too much, because people want instant gratification. And I think that's what you're worried about. You're worried about the instant gratification. You want to succeed right now. You want to succeed overnight. You want to get to the top overnight. It doesn't happen that way. It won't happen that way. In fact, now it's even more challenging than ever. But if you have what it takes, and I know you have what it takes, I know you're capable, I know you're intelligent enough, I know you're worth it, I know you're knowledgeable enough, I know that you can start that business, and I can help you do that if you're struggling. You can find me on Instagram below, Ivan Temelkov. Would love to chat with you. You can check out my website, RazorSharpDigital.com. That's the company website. And then IvanTemelkov.com. Definitely look me up online. That's one of the biggest things that I tell people is just that in a world where everybody is an entrepreneur, is how do you separate yourself? Well, it's authenticity, validity, and credibility. Go and check that out. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you got some value out of this session. And remember, you are worth it. You can do this. I have faith in you. I believe in you. But the only person that can do that is you. God bless you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing day. Off to the grind and chasing the dream. Take care. Bye-bye.